Honorable Chair, honorable members, on the 6th of July, I addressed the nation about what was happening. Charles Biya was enjoying the holiday at Durban, July in Durban. And on the same day, he was on television where he made a lot of remarks, which I appreciated because he spoke without thinking. So I hope those what he had said today are going to be interrogated when he appears here. Because he started making allegations. That couple of weeks later, the National Commissioner was also on television where he denied that which RSB had said. So it's between them. They shouldn't have closed down the PKTT. I was not going to be bothered. But I was minding my business in KZN and they closed the unit in the province. So that made me to start asking questions until I ended up knowing what's happening in Gauteng. If they didn't close the unit, I was not going to know what's happening in Gauteng. But thanks that they brought it to my attention. I'm not a politician. I've never signed, I've never joined a member of a political party. It's never been my dream to be a politician. Mine is a police officer. I'm a civil servant. And I'm charged with the responsibility to enforce the law.
Yes, Minister Beki Cele, he told us he's got a lot of admiration, he's got high admiration for you. He said, you're a very good cop.
Yeah, well, it's good because
you're not a politician.
It's good because then the general will know that if there's a law broken, even if he breaks the law, I'll arrest him as well. That is my job. I don't have a responsibility in terms of, that's why I was surprised when I saw Mr. Nkabingo with t-shirts of political parties. Because I don't wear a t-shirt of a political parties. I even struggle to wear a t-shirt of a soccer club. Maybe Bafana will. I'm not that much involved. I know a lot of people within the political space, but it's not my space. And I don't dream of becoming a politician. There was an invitation on some of the members that I should join, but I'll gladly decline because that's not me. I was never like that. I'm just a South African, a civil servant. That's what I'm doing. I think people sometimes confuse a police officer that might become famous as we do and politician. You don't run a country by enforcing the law only. You run a country by looking at a variety of things, which I'm not an expert on. I know policing, nothing else. I don't write legislation, I enforce it. I might pick up things that are wrong in the legislation, but I don't draft it. The honorable members do that. So I'm not a politician. I've never signed, I've never joined a member of a political party. It's never been my dream to be a politician. Mine is a police officer. I'm a civil servant. And I'm charged with the responsibility to enforce the law.
Yes, Minister Beki Cele, he told us he's got a lot of admiration, he's got high admiration for you. He said, you're a very good cop.
Yeah, well, it's good because
you're not a politician.
It's good because then the general will know that if there's a law broken, even if he breaks the law, I'll arrest him as well. That is my job. I don't have a responsibility in terms of, that's why I was surprised when I saw Mr. Nkabingo with t-shirts of political parties. Because I don't wear a t-shirt of a political parties. I even struggle to wear a t-shirt of a soccer club. Maybe Bafana will. I'm not that much involved. I know a lot of people within the political space, but it's not my space. And I don't dream of becoming a politician. There was an invitation on some of the members that I should join, but I'll gladly decline because that's not me. I was never like that. I'm just a South African, a civil servant. That's what I'm doing. I think people sometimes confuse a police officer that might become famous as we do and politician. You don't run a country by enforcing the law only. You run a country by looking at a variety of things, which I'm not an expert on. I know policing, nothing else. I don't write legislation, I enforce it. I might pick up things that are wrong in the legislation, but I don't draft it. The honorable members do that. So, Honorable Chair, honorable members, on the 6th of July, I addressed the nation about what was happening. Charles Biya was enjoying the holiday at Durban, July in Durban. And on the same day, he was on television where he made a lot of remarks, which I appreciated because he spoke without thinking. So I hope those what he had said today are going to be interrogated when he appears here. Because he started making allegations. That couple of weeks later, the National Commissioner was also on television where he denied that which RSB had said. So it's between them. They shouldn't have closed down the PKTT. I was not going to be bothered. But I was minding my business in KZN and they closed the unit in the province. So that made me to start asking questions until I ended up knowing what's happening in Gauteng. If they didn't close the unit, I was not going to know what's happening in Gauteng. But thanks that they brought it to my attention. When we talk the honest truth, we must tell the truth. The country was in pain to listen to how much of money was spent at the former president's house, homestead at Ingatla, because there was an accountability that was happening at the time. But this government has never paid attention on the amount of expenditure that was incurred by crime intelligence over years. Interrogate that within the Secret Service account, the misuse of the Secret Service account. Obviously, the Joint Standing Committee is supposed to do that. It's disturbing when reports supposed to be presented to such structures to hold people accountable. Nothing happens to it. We are sitting today, the country is in mourning because we lost one of our ambassadors in France. But then ambassador was a minister of police. As you switch on the television and you watch the homestead of the former minister of police, you're going to see a very big wall, perimeter wall, that was built by the money from crime intelligence. But nobody was held accountable for such, and reports are there. So 2011, we're experiencing all these things. It's members from crime intelligence that takes the money out of crime intelligence to use them to take control of the executive authority. The minister never asked for the wall. The members from crime intelligence took the money, secret fund account, to make that wall so they can get control of the minister. So tomorrow they can then loot that money on their own. Then the minister can't say anything. It's the same thing bringing us here today. Minister of Police, Minister Mkhwanazi, was made to sign a letter by the raw people within the organization. They might have done something to him. He signs a letter, he committed himself, and today he's in trouble because of that. Had he not signed that letter, he would not have been here. Crime intelligence. The risk with that, which I repeat before this committee, is that the members of crime intelligence are going to be forced to defend themselves. And the only best way to defend themselves is to speak the truth. And when they come with the truth, majority of you will not be able to stomach it. This country is going to burn. Because there are top secret things that should not be discussed in public life. So if you make the members look bad, they're going to counter the human beings. They've got families, they've got friends. They've been paraded as criminals in front of international TV. They were paraded when they were arrested. They were branded as bad people by these members of this committee, of this parliament, some of them. They kept quiet. But they know the truth. They have evidence, Honorable Chair, conventional or otherwise, that they have, which if they were to present it, it would be a press briefing that would be worse than what Mkhwanazi did. So I needed to prevent that by warning that let's not hold back and allow that the very same executive authorities, parliamentarians, participate in the wrong.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good morning. Chair, in short, the Honourable Kola Barnard is not in attendance today. She'll be following virtually, and no one is being recused yet or planning to be recused. We have asked for a legal opinion on the matter, and we will give the relevant feedback. We have decided that the Honourable Kola Barnard will not be in physical attendance today to allow the committee to do what they need to do and to continue with their work. Thank you, Chair.
Did you bring a member?
I've got the Honourable Schikkeling right next to me, Chair.
Is she the alternate of the alternator?
No, she is alternate, Chair, and she will be in the place of the Honourable Kola Barnard today.
Okay. Honorable members, I think what we should do here is that. Okay, Honorable Cameron.
Sorry, Chair, I slipped. She's in the place of the Honorable Breitenbach. The Honorable Kola Barnard is an alternate. She is already an alternate.
Yeah.
So the Honorable Schikkeling will remain in the place of the Honorable Breitenbach.
Yeah, we are not going to take the time of the committee and use it to discuss that matter because the member is not here. Let's do the business. Our business is not Honorable Kola Barnard. Our business is to investigate the allegations that have been made. And because today she is not here, we can't discuss that matter now. We should just go straight into our proceedings. But
We are still trying to figure out how does Thabo Bester get out of prison and he'll end up in a foreign country. This is a typical example of how bad the system is within the correctional service. We've got a lot of examples on how crime is organized behind bars, how people get killed by people that are behind bars, that get released to go out and murder someone and come back into correctional facility. So what we cited as an example when we made our presentation is that Ye is one of the big fives, Mr. Matlala, is arrested and is detained at the maximum prison of our country in Pretoria, Kgosimampo, but is caught with a cell phone inside that facility. So that cell phone for sure was not dropped from the sky to get into the courtyard for him to get it. It was facilitated by someone within the correctional facility to have access to it. So we cited that one example, but we're not going to elaborate more of the other people that have had access to that correctional facility to come and see these arrested people and been assisted by the officials within. Some other items that have been given to these people that are arrested of the Big Five, facilitated by individuals within correctional facilities. So that's why I said I'm not going to go deeper into naming the names, who is doing what and who's doing what, because that is part of the criminal investigation that you're busy with. I just highlighted some of the examples in there. But Honorable Chair members, I said yesterday, I'm not a lawmaker, but as we are enforcing the law and trying to satisfy the clients out there, we identify gaps in the legislation. Gaps that if we're to be invited to give our input, we might give input. The unfortunate part, the honorable members might not agree with the inputs we give because our inputs in the main might be seen as a police, might be seen as a violation of human rights. We must appreciate the fact that majority of the leaders of our government have made 10 in those walls of prison in the past. Perhaps the recognition of human rights was to try and prevent the experience that some of the leaders had in the past. But in so doing, government opened or made the life of a criminal to be comfortable behind bars. It is the law of this country that allows a person to be treated as innocent until proven otherwise. The mere fact that the very same court will sign off a warrant of arrest of a person get arrested, but the same court then decides a person is got the right to be released on bail. It then defeats the purpose. Because the same court will have signed a warrant of arrest. The same court then says the person must then be released on bail. The freedom that are enjoyed by presiding officers to decide on whether to keep a person in custody or not can, to some degree, contribute to more crime that we're experiencing in the country. So when the presiding officer decided to grant a murder suspect more than one bail, he goes out, he commits another murder, he comes back in. He goes out, he commits another murder, he comes back in. it becomes an unending crime scene that you're dealing with.
Umbuzo wami uthi yini eyenze wena wabona kufanele uthathe impilo yakho uyifake ebunzimeni obungaka nasengozini engaka uthathe ngisho neyomndeni wakho uphinde uyifake lapho uphushwe yini ukuthi uthathe lesi sinqumo?
Mhlonishwa, inkinga lokho besibhekene nako. Okungiphazamisa kakhulu ukuthi lobugebengu ekade sikubona benzeka lobe kufuna ukwenzeka abantu befuna ukuthatha izwe ngobugebengu. Kubugebengu obuzolimaza izingane zethu ngoba izidakamizwa lezi abasebenza ngazo. Angisho ukuthi uma bekade kubugebengu obungahlanganisi nezidakamizwa besokubekezelela bese ngeke sikubekezelele kwabona. Kodwa lokhu kuhlangene nezidakamizwa. Ngicabanga ukuthi iningi lomphakathi wale South Africa liyazi ukuthi uma unesihlobo owazana naso noma ingane ezalayo esekuyaqala yadla idakamizwa seyimoshakele ngeke usakwazi ukuyilungisa. Abantu abaningi ke bahlukumezwe lezi dakamizwa. Ingakho ke siwumphakathi sisonke kumele sizimisele sihlangane sibumbane ukuze silwisane nalesihlava. Lokho kungenza ukuthi ngiphakameke ukuthi ngikhulume lolu daba ingoba ngibona ukuthi uma ngiliyeka ukukhuluma umndeni wami ukhona nje umshana wami odla idakamizwa ngikhuluma nawo eziqhamuka ngabo labantu. Uma abaphathi bezovumela lezi gebengu ukuthi ziqhubeke nokuthengisela izingane zethu lezi dakamizwa zize nazo zilethela South Africa zizakhe la South Africa okushuthi kahle izwe leli lizobe lifile so thi silele emathuneni thina sibe sishiya ingane zethu zihlupheke. So ngaleso sizathu ngiyabona ukuthi kumele ukuthi sikhulume manje ukuze sikwazi ukulungisa izwe ukuya phambili. Lokho kuncane umuntu angakwazi ukwenza njengoba ethunywe enikeza umsebenzi ukuthi avikele izwe. Kumele ukuthi sikwenze. Ngisho kuthiwa kuyingozi thina ngoba ubungozi vele into umuntu aloka eqala engena emaphoyiseni ukuthi iphoyisa amaqhuma isibhamu ngala abantu bebaleka bayale iphoyisa afuneka liqonde laqhuma khona isibhamu. Kumele lisinikele ngalokho. Lokho engikwenzile kuyafana ke nalokho ukuthi ngiyazinikela ukuthi ukuze umphakathi uvikeleke kumele thina esinikeza umsebenzi ukuthi sivikele umphakathi kube yithina esizinikelayo kuqala. Ngicabanga ukuthi leyo kuphela nje into engayifika ukuthi engigqugquzela ukuthi ngikwenze lo engikwenzile. I said earlier, if you want to prioritize the human rights of a person, whether is not arrested, whether is arrested, definitely the rights of the person that has been found guilty and is incarcerated must be totally different than a person who's walking on the street. But what we find happening is that there is more rights for those in prison than you have for the person on the street. And I want to challenge you to look at your budget expenditure for the people in custody per day cost of an inmate versus what the grant you are giving to a person who's a law-abiding citizen outside the month. 350 versus 350 a month versus a 500 rands a day. That's how the scale is like. So come to prison, you're going to get education for free, you're going to get free food, you're going to get shelter, you don't run out of water and so forth. Go outside of prison, you live in a shack. You must rob someone to have bread to eat at night. That's a reality that we find in this country. So the legislation must really, legislators yourself, we plead that you must please look at these things so that when we recruit in the police, we must recruit people who want to protect themselves, not the career people that they can't find jobs somewhere else and they come to the police as a job opportunity that is created.
I'm going to go to the allegations that you've made against my colleague, Diane Kohler-Barnard. You've accused her of misusing intelligence information. Have you seen any official classified documentation that is labeled with the information on that you cite is in fact being classified?
The list of the properties that were bought by crime intelligence are part attached to a statement. If you're not in possession of the DA statement that she issued, she attached that report. That is on one, which is issued by her. The second one I read to you yesterday. The questions that she asked in your portfolio committee which she shouldn't have. Perhaps you should have told her that, colleague, this question does not belong. But it went through your portfolio committee to the police, and the response came in the same fashion. So those are some of the one examples that I can bring up now. Anything else that Ms. Barnard might be involved with, I think we'll leave it to a in-camera discussions with the bodies that's supposed to, because the nice thing is that people travel and they meet, and wherever they meet, there's cameras. Then wherever they meet, there are people that are observing. And wherever they talk, there are footprints left on phones. Even if they delete messages, we retrieve them.
I want to follow up on the drug cartels. Every time we're told of a big five, and a big five, my understanding is that it's a drug cartel. And when we are asking for the names, we're told of Matlala and Molefe, who are now in jail. But they're not in jail for drugs. They are in jail for a gun that is connected them to some celebrities and all of that. Meta and all. For Transnet, DJ somebody and. How do I conclude that these are the big five of drug cartels? Because they're not charged with drugs. And like you said, the drugs are a big problem. Not that others are not a big problem, but the drugs are the ones that are going to destroy the young ones. And when we are asked about this big five that deals with drug cartels, we are given 2 people who are in prison, but they're not charged with drugs. How do I conclude that indeed these are members of the drug cartel?
Well, remember, the details can be presented by the team as a covert operation. They have the details about it that I might not be able to talk to it. However, a strategy of arrest, of an investigation of a case, you might arrest a person, although in this case you are labeling them as part of Big Five, and the Big Five is involved in this drug syndicate. We might not arrest them for the drug specific, but the bigger investigation that talks about drugs is there, but the charges that we are putting against them are something else. It's a strategy we employ in the police to keep people behind bars until we are ready with a bigger case. And we throw it in. A typical example is the same strategy we employed in KZN when we were dealing with the AKA case. And we arrested a whole lot of them for other cases, just to keep them in custody until we were ready with the main case when it was matured, and we could identify all of them. And then we started charging all of them for the murder of our celebrities. Otherwise, they were already in custody. So similar strategy we are doing on these ones. We are taking them for other cases. We are adding any other case because they've got many cases. Safe to say, with respect to the case of the death of that employee at Vereeniging, Mr. Swart, it had nothing to do with drugs. It was tender issues there that involves Mr. Mleef. But the murders of these DJs is drug related. When the picture you're going to see when the matters gets to court is that this one thought he's clever by stealing this one's drugs and he starts selling them, and this one then killed him. Mm. So not to say the victim is a clean man on drugs. He died because of something that he did wrong to this one. So we have a consignment of over 200 million rand, for instance, if I use that as an example. The police in the organization is there to identify exhibit, you book it in the SCP-13 register in the police station, you leave it there. If it's such big thing that you transfer it to another safer storage place, which in this case will be a forensic lab if it's drugs. But it so happened that in KwaZulu-Natal at one stage, there was a consignment found in Durban. And our laboratory in Durban is at Manzimtoti, which is about 10, 15 kilometers away from Durban. And they did not have a facility to keep such consignment of drugs. And the next place where we take these drugs to is Pretoria, where we keep these drugs in the bigger storages. But it so happened that case that the drugs were entered into the SCP-13 register of a police station, booked out the same time, and transported south of KZN to Port Shepstone. and locked into the offices of the PCI that had no one guarding it. And during so-called alleged load shedding at night, there was a break-in a big storage facility, a break-in inside that facility. There were bags of drugs, and there were also other drugs that were not associated with the ones that came, the consignment that came in. And there were firearms, illegal firearms that were also stored in there. But when the break-in happened, the only thing that was stolen was this specific consignment of 200 million rand of drugs and nothing else. You arrive at the crime scene, you will expect the crime scene is being cleaned, everything is stolen. But you arrive there, you find an AK-47 standing there, then you say, but why didn't they steal this AK-47? Then you realize the mission was not the AK-47. The mission was drugs. So they came to collect what is theirs, and they took it away. They left everything else untouched. And that made us conclude that it was a planned break-in. Because the question we are asking TPCI, why did you allow these drugs to come to your offices? And there's no one guarding. And you have load shedding, and this thing happened during load shedding. So we believe the information tells us that those drugs taken there ended up in Johannesburg are part of the drugs that caused about the majority of the murders that happened in Johannesburg. Because people took it and they started stealing, and they did not deliver them where they were supposed to deliver them. And that's what caused the unhappiness from some of the people. So yes, we are not talking about the drugs on the arrest of Mlife, but drugs is part of the problem that leads into the murder. The charge is a murder, but the reason is the drug that comes as a result. So there are many others. The ones that we are not mentioning is because we have not charged them with anything. That's why we're not comfortable to even mention them. But they are there.
But I'll park it there for now. The other question was on, you mentioned, I think it's in Annexure NSM 3 and 4, where you spoke about the Richards Bay minerals. In KwaZulu-Natal, perhaps you can speak to us directly on that. How many companies have requested services from the police exclusively on their premises? Do you have that, or is it something that happens very often? And I ask this in light of other crimes that are happening that might even exceed what is going on in companies, and also the political killings and related matters as well.
I must say, Honorable Chair, honorable members, that as far as I've been in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, I've never received any specific request from a company for a specific protection. The meeting or the deployment of members in Richards Bay to go and work at the Richards Bay minerals. After it happened, the group of companies under the CEO of Chamber of Commerce in Richards Bay invited me to a meeting. I think the meeting was held in one of the hotels in Richards Bay, where I had to explain to them, why am I giving preference to Richards Bay minerals with deployments? Why am I not prioritizing them as a provincial commission? It was a painful meeting because I had to say to them, RPM have got connection in high places. That's why they've got a dedicated deployment. That deployment is not controlled by me. I can't get involved with. As a provincial commissioner, this is what I can do to offer the service, and these are limitations that I have. If they can help me to meet me halfway, I'll work on it. And then we agreed that, okay, we're going to help each other going forward. But the issue of RPM had to be addressed with the minister. That's why then there was an invitation for the minister to come in so they can talk about that issue. But it was a first for me to experience such, and specifically members deployed to go and work for the company. Other than that, it was just an incident that was not much of, because we did not necessarily spend much resources. But you'll recall when we had the looting during 2021 unrest, the interest that was expressed by majority of the ministers surrounding the safety of South African brewery. only that company was of an interest to many ministers, and the rest of the companies have been looted at the time. There was no calls to me about them. So that was the only one that had happened about South African breweries during the riot. And then after that was the Richards Bay minerals. But the Richards Bay had a total deployment. I understand that they wanted to come and explain themselves how it came about. But the police management has got records, money spent and resources deployed for that.
And according to you, General, do you know who's the contacts they have in high places that did the deployment to Richards Bay Minerals?
I do not know. The answer when I queried my boss, the answer was that the presidency. Now, presidency constitutes many people. There is a president, deputy president, ministers, DGs, DDGs, many senior people, advisors that are influential in that office. So I don't know exactly who in the presidency has spoken to the National Commission about that deployment, but that's what I was told. It's the presidency. So it's something that just troubled me. But what made it worse, I think, honorable chair members, the CEO of that place stays here in Cape Town. He runs that business from here. I had invited him into my meeting. He met with me once before that incident. So I thought we build a good relationship with him, that if he has issues, then we can talk about. And I deployed out of my own those few members that were to assist with the investigation without being asked by anyone. A year later, when there was no success, I pulled him back. Instead of him coming back to me and say, Mkhwanazi, you gave me something that was helping me. Can you keep it on? Maybe we're going to discuss, because they were not there for Richards Bay. They were there to investigate cases. But what they ended up doing was to service the mine, not investigating the cases I asked them to do. That's why I pulled them back. So if he wanted the type of services, that's why when the directive came and says, send them back, and I said, now it's no longer about this case anymore. It's about the safety of that area. So let me make the team bigger so that we can go and service everyone. Unfortunately, I was overtaken by the head office on that one. So it's unfortunate, because those members ended up doing what they did in prison, which make us to talk about them today.
And the last question, the ministers that sent you WhatsApps to protect SA bureaus, are you going to tell us?
No, it was a phone call. It was not
phone calls, okay.
Yeah, it was one of them was a former minister at the time, called me. I cannot remember the other ministers that were calling, but there were a couple of them. That what triggered me, because you don't get a call from one person, you get a call from different people talking about the same thing. But the worry that what was presented was the safety, because of, I think, those gas cylinders and whatever that they are using, that Spingo. The fear was that if such were to catch fire, the impact that it was going to have in the community, in that area as a whole, was going to be severe. Then my question was, why did you even give a license for the company to operate in such a build-up area? If you have that risk, take them away to the bushy area somewhere and make sure that you set up perimeters that nobody must come and build there, because you want to avoid this thing. So if it is such a risk, it means it can happen anytime. Route or not route, it can still happen. And when it happens, you can have to ask questions. Why did you authorize it to operate like that? Or maybe they were there before these build communities came around. Why then did we allow these communities to come close to it, if that is a risk? But, well, I have no authority over that. I guess the city will decide on that demarcation.
Thank you, General. Thank you, Chair.
Well, it is the minister's letter. When I registered a complaint, a criminal complaint, minister is one of the suspects that I'm pursuing in that complaint I have, because he's the author of this chaos.
How far is that case?
The chaos. This is a real chaos.
Yeah. Now, how far is that case where you complained about this?
It's still an investigation. I'm not part of it, because I rely on the prosecution in KZN and the team investigating to brief me from time to time. But the progress they shared with me 2 weeks ago, was quite pleased with the progress that they're making. The minister owns the letter. He signs it, it's his letter. However, if we're to fix the problem, it is my belief that we must go beyond the minister's ownership of the letter. With his signature is his letter. That's given. But we need to find out what led into him writing such a letter. When I speak to the chief of staff and he said the letter has been going back and forth, it is against that background that made me to believe that someone crafted the letter for the minister to sign. Yes, obvious. If a person gives a gun to shoot and kill someone and you take that gun and you shoot and kill someone, it's your problem. But we need to find out who actually gave you the gun. So this is basically what I'm trying to communicate, that can we not just leave it with the minister? Let's go beyond, because we're going to miss problems that exist in the organization if we only deal with the outcome. Let's try and fix the real problem.
In this case that you are pursuing following this letter, minister is a person of interest and you're saying the investigation is going on, they're getting briefing from time to time. Is there any arrest anytime soon, according to the briefings you're receiving?
It is my prayer and hope that by the time the 31st of December of this year comes, we'll be talking about the letter of the 31st of December last year in court. That's my hope. This is a screenshot of a WhatsApp message that General Spear forwarded to the member of the Office of the Inspector General of Intelligence. It's a message that indicates that he was communicating with the deputy minister. I do not know who the deputy minister is, because we've got two deputy ministers in the police. But what is interesting is to read what the message is saying that General Spear forwarded to the deputy minister, which is of an interest to me that I feel the members also might want to pay attention on. Well, I'm going to try and scroll up between these messages because they're not saved together, but it starts, the message is dated the 16th of October, 2024, as forwarded. It reads as follows. Good afternoon, DM, comma, please note the following, column 1, a source has indicated that CI has procured the new spyware equipment to the value of 13 million rands over the past weekend. 2, the equipment was sourced from China and it did not follow the normal process, e.g., minister needs to sign for anything above 10 million. Three, furthermore, it was reported that this equipment was obtained on the instruction of former Minister Mkhwanazi. 4, therefore, only a handful of individuals are privy to the details of the procurement and its usage. 5, they include the current DIVCOM, the Secret Service account head, the supply chain head, and the tech specialist. 6, it is believed that the usage of the said equipment will be for political purposes, targeting ANC leadership. Comments, column 1, DM should take note of the above and exercise vigilance with any type of electronic communication, such as cell phones, emails, etc. 2, Comrade Matebula has also been briefed. And comrade in this is abbreviated as the DM is abbreviated, is written CDE. So we're trying to establish who is Comrade Matebula that the police officer has briefed. And he's telling the deputy minister this on WhatsApp. And it goes further, the next paragraph says, my suggestions that we should commit the National Commission to this. I want to repeat that. My suggestion that we, should commit the National Commissioner to this. He needs to come out and say whether he knows about it or not. If not, he must investigate. If yes, why is the minister not informed? But let there be an official investigation with a report and within 7 days. What's the DM take on this approach? And the next message, this is worrisome, DM. Will they go ahead without the National Commissioner's signature either? And that's where the message ends. Honorable members, this is Gerald Spear talking to a deputy minister. And the comrade Matebula, that we don't know who the comrade Matebula is. And he says, we must hold the National Commissioner accountable. So he placed himself in the same position of the deputy minister. He placed himself in the same position of the comrade Matebula, that they must hold the National Commission accountable to account about this. When we are having the names on top, is because they are wrong that we see. Gerald Cele, for instance, when you see the link between Gerald Cele and Vusmutket Matlala, it's because there's some racketeering that is happening. Gerald Cele sends Vusmatlala an account number, account details. Vusmatlala deposit money into a private account, not Cele's account, someone else's account. He puts money to that account and he sends a proof to Cele. Cele acknowledged the receipt of that. And then there's other further communication. That's why I'm saying the communication between them is not about the arrest date. It's a communication we see dating back to 2024. There's criminality there that we need to investigate. Who was this money for? Now we're going to that bank account to see whether this money moved by Vus into that account. Did it end with that account, or did it move from that account back to Cele somehow? That's why there's a target there. So it's not a target of appointment per se, but it's the name because of that line. We even wrote the communication dating back to December 2024. Yeah. So it is not the number of calls that was spoken about in the media. It's what we picked up is investigating. Honorable members, I was clear at the beginning. It never crossed my mind that there can be anyone that is accusing me of playing politics on this. But after we made that address and we started getting a response, and one of the first response came from political parties, from Mkhwanazi amongst others, when they started marching. And I did not appreciate that. First, I took it because at the first march, it was a mix of different political parties. But the second march, where they had my photos and everything that was done in Gauteng, I sent a communication to the people of MK. I said, get me out of it. If you want to march for whatever you march for, don't use my face. I don't belong there. And they apologized, they acknowledged. I said, unfortunately, it was too late to tell the other people not to use my face. But I think they stopped after that because I did not want to be associated with it. I was happy with the citizens making noise. Political parties are welcome to make noise. They are members of society as well. But to be used as a face in politics was a problem for me. Since then, what has then happened is people start saying Mkhwanazi for president. I came here yesterday and I said it. I'm a policeman and I know how to be a law enforcement officer, not to be a politician. I've never had a relationship much with politicians. I'm not saying I don't like politicians per se, but the method of operation at times troubles me. That's why I wouldn't want to become one. They arrive in a space where they get to as politicians different than what I do as a policeman. So that's why I said it on record yesterday. And to those that will dream to have a person of my caliber as a head of state, I'm sorry, maybe it is disappoint the society, but I am what I am. And I will do this job until come March next year. If it's done, it's done. And it ends there. So being associated with a specific political party or being used by these vessels, that's why I learned that there was this allegation that we are close to Cele. The very same Mkhwanazi that I'm branding in front of you now as a person who's got questionable relationship with Matlala. If I was my close associate, I don't think I would be saying that in public. And many other people that people associate with me. To me, you are good or you're bad. It can't be something in between. If I don't know anything wrong that you have done, then you're a good man. But once you cross the line, you cross the line and there's no turning back. There's other disasters that are coming. You know, when you look at the level of unemployment, especially on the youth in this country, the way it's escalating, it's a disaster in waiting. So when that pipe bursts, we might come back and say we have no intelligence, and yet there's warnings that are coming. So it becomes a question then of then saying there was no intelligence when 2021 happened. What else we should have received differently? With respect to some of the commissioners get appointed to lead these inquiries, they are not subject matter experts. They are academians. They think on the academic side of things. But if you bring an engineer to come and tell you how to stop water from coming into this house, they will come up with a different solution than an expert that will come and talk without knowing how to mix the cement and sand to protect the water from coming in. So it's that sometimes that we find lacking on reports. There will be good recommendation from Falam, from everyone else that says that you should have done, that you should have done. But the reality is the problem that existed is not necessarily been attended to. The 2021 problem, warning was there. Everyone foresaw what was coming. You cannot be that when the tsunami happens in the middle of the ocean because there's an earthquake that took place, you now have to figure out how you're going to stop the water from reaching shore and causing damage. You then blame the engineers that build those hotels next to the water, that they should have foreseen that when the tsunami comes, it's going to do this. They didn't foresee the extent of the tsunami that's coming. When it becomes so worse and severe, it's going to cause destruction either way, no matter how much plans you put in place. So similar to our intelligence, there will always be gaps. And the gaps are caused by the implementers of recommendations. And yet, there are some instances where you could say, we should have received specific intelligence about this plan, and we did not. I agree, I take that. But part of it is that, which I'm briefed by intelligence, is that it was a decision taken by this government, well, not this government, the previous government in a dawn of democracy, that we shall not infiltrate political parties. One famous family that was always in the media is a family of one lady that was attacked allegedly by lava Namhla in the Eastern Cape in Tata. That docket was with this task team. But it's part of the docket that was sent to Pretoria. For what good reason? You can't explain it. So, and the family was informed that, look, they took this docket and sent them to Pretoria. We can't tell you anything about the case. And the family was disturbed and they made noise about it. And that led into the Pretoria Gerald Spear's office visiting that family to tell them that, no, we're going to investigate your case, don't worry. It is the only family that was never attended to during the period the dockets were in Pretoria, because they made noise after they were briefed by the team that was originally investigating. That goes to show you the impact the removal of the dockets had. I saw the interviews recently from one of the media house with some of the family members that had lost a loved one, where they were asking them about their feelings about these dockets. They were taken to Pretoria in a suspension of the investigation. And it was not a good story that came out from the family. And it is there available, and the media did a good job by doing those interviews. But it's one of the challenges, Honorable Chair, that I can, that brings me here today to say the closure of the PKTT was ill-informed, ill-advised that the minister received. It had a criminal intent to stop investigations that are happening in Gauteng. They missed the targets because they did not calculate who are exactly they are targeting. Had they knew exactly that the dockers they're looking for are sitting at this counterintelligence operation, they were not even going to write that letter. We wouldn't be here talking about the the political killings testing. So that is a reality. That was a missed target.
Well, I will describe the state of policing as, well, quite challenging, taking into account various factors that the country is facing since COVID-19. The country has never been the same. There is a lot of unemployment, and that also brings the element of crime and new crime. And of course, most of the countries, they are looking for where they can look for gold or something to eat. And that South Africa, unfortunately, becomes a destination of choice. You'd recall a few years ago that South Africa as a country signed quite a number of treaties. We have a free protocol on movement, freedom of movement in Africa, AU. We have got also the protocol on freedom of movement in SADC, but that does not in practice mean people will move from here to north. It means they all move south, which makes the resources of the country to be under pressure, and as a result, crime becomes a problem, new forms of crime that is imported in the country. Policing is quite under pressure, and unfortunately, the society look for everything from police. They expect if a child don't go to school, it's a problem of police. If the spouses have confrontation, where were the police? And so it's quite challenging. The policing of today can never be associated or described as the policing of 30 years ago. It's quite challenging and requires, of course, new ideas. And currently, South African Police Service, we are trying our best to cope with what we have, but we do have, of course, limitation of resources. Resources are not in abundance, and population and challenges are growing far more faster than what we have. Thank you very much.
You know Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, you know him quite well. Tell us a little bit about that and whether you have a relationship with him.
Well, I know him as a police official, a young man in the organization. I think I knew him many years ago. I'm not sure.
He was a youngster in KZN.
Yeah, I was still a youngster in KZN. Okay. I was by then a director. That was a brigadier then. I was a unit commander of the public order police in Durban. I think somewhere in the year 2000 or 2001, and he was around for, he came at the unit where I was for special task force selection. And they went for selection in the premises, and at some point, I don't know what happened there. Looks like the instructors cheated them in terms of points during selection. Like if you run or you jump certain kilos, or you run whatever obstacles within certain minutes, you pass. You don't do this, you fail. So how I know him, he just walked into my office at some point, and he said to me, "Ena, you can't tolerate what's happening there." The beggar says, "But I mean, who are you? What do you want?" Then he explained himself that I think he was from Public Order Police, Shepstone. He's here for selection for task force, and either two of them and him were robbed or cheated on the selection. They are being made to fail, whereas there's one or two white guys that came behind them. They were made to pass. And so I said, okay, I could see that he was very unhappy. So I went there, the back. Well, I wasn't in charge of those people. They just came to use my premises for selection. So I went to see the instructor and ask as to what was happening. And I did find that, yeah, indeed there is a problem in terms of how they made some pass and some fail. And I said, no, 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 you must rectify this. And they rectified it immediately. And he went for the special task force training. And he came back stationed at Special Task Force Durban. He worked there. I forgot about him. And then one day he ventured again in my office and say, no, and I can't tolerate what's happening there because the whites are oppressing them and this and that. He wants to go out of this unit. And then I said, okay, how many Africans you are there? I think there were 2 or 3 amongst over 20 or 8 or 12 whites. And I said, no, but there is a beginning for everything. You don't run away, you stay there. Then I engaged the section commander in Pretoria for Special Task Force and the divisional commissioner about the conditions. And they addressed them, and then he stayed there for some time. And at some point, he was promoted, I think, a captain at the same unit. And he continued working. And later, I think he was promoted. I don't know whether he was promoted. He became a lieutenant colonel, I'm not sure. But I suspect he might have moved from captain to colonel. Appointed commander of Special Task Force in Pretoria. And he went, Pretoria, he worked there. And at some point, he came to say, no, he's tired of this discrimination. He wants out of this thing. And again, I said, but there should be black people in Special Task Force, and there is always a start. If those that we start with, you run away, and we can't tolerate this. And he referred to me, other people, like the guy he found in Durban, that guy is there in Durban, he's not moving anywhere, he's working nicely there, so why can't I be like him? Then I said, but there is a start for everything, then you must stay there. And at some point, I became national head of operations in Pretoria, so he was also falling within my my component. So those challenges still and now and then did come, and I would address them, because as a unit commander where he was, the section commander was a white guy, so, and yeah, eventually became a brigadier or director, and yeah, then he flew on his own. That's how I know him.
It shows that the minister wanted to put a stop. The minister, the ANC minister, wanted to put a stop to investigations pertaining to a drug cartel that has captured our country. Is that correct?
No, Honorable Chair, it's not the Minister of the ANC, it's the Minister of Police in the Republic of South Africa.
Deployed by the ANC.
Well, that, yes.
We need to identify where these people come from. We need to identify where it comes from, where the rot comes from. We can't be pussyfooting. Our children are dying. Yesterday, a 4-year-old child died in Mitchell's Plain. Monday, a boy was kicking his grandmother's head around because of drugs. Tuesday, a boy was chopping his mother with a shovel because of drugs. We need to understand who are the enablers that's doing this. We're not here to play games. These people are ANC aligned. It's been going on for 2 years. You and I know each other for over 10 years. We're here to rot them out, and we must name them. So don't come here, ANC. I have great respect for you, and speak about winding down and say that you are beyond reproach. You did not protect South Africans. You exposed us to drug cartels. The minister told you, close this door to you. We should be closing the door to the minister.
Honorable member, the chairperson has exercised his mercy for you to ask questions. And I know this is a chamber where we usually debate, but let's not debate the issue. Let's interact with the police commissioner.
General Mkhwanazi also mentions to the ad hoc committee that Amongst the 121 case dockets that were taken to the head office, one amongst them is that of Namhla from Tata. I'm sure you'll recall the Justice for Namhla campaign. So if that's the case, then would we say that SAPS actually characterized the brutal assassination of Namhla as a political killing? And what is the status of the docket now? Has the removal impacted the fact that there's no one arrested today?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. No, the political killings task team, as you are aware, they were doing the work in the province of KZN. But I am on record to have said that when we went to Fort Hare with the then minister, and we saw that there is a problem, well, of murder cases, but not necessarily alone, we enlisted the political killings task team to go and help there. So the fact that they took Namhla's docket is not to say we classified as political killing. All we wanted was, we wanted people that can be able to resolve the case. That's how the team went. And the team did work on the docket until they were interdicted. That's one matter that where we don't understand how the judiciary came into being. The certain people went to High Court, they interdicted the team on that case for other reasons and for almost a year. But the docket is back with the team. I might not precisely say where it is now, but it's back to be investigated.
Okay. So I think the interdict will maybe assess it in the in-camera arrangement. I think the general does not want to give us deeper detail on it now in a public platform. I think we can attend to that later. It's no problem.
Through you, Honorable Chair, the interdict, the best person would be General Kumalo who can give that. But I know that somebody came forward with an interdict, but later we are on with.
Okay, no, that's fine.
You're the top cop in South Africa. You're the only real general in the South African Police Service. And you say that you hold the view that the instruction of the minister to close the political killings task team was ultra vires and encroached on your domain as the National Commissioner. So why did you not tell him so? Tell him that you won't close it down, that it's doing good work and that he's out of line. Why didn't you just do that?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. But even though I tell him that this team is doing good work, we're not supposed to close it, he said we must close it.
No, General, I'm sorry, you're missing the gist of the question.
Oh, sorry.
The question is, not that you didn't discuss it with him, I'm sure you did. Thank you. Why didn't you tell him you're not interested? He's encroaching on your terrain, he's out of line, he can't do what he's doing, and he must concern himself with his own business and you concern yourself with yours.
Well, thanks, Honorable Chair. Like I said, I did my best to tell him, let's not close, and he insisted.
General, my difficulty is that he can't insist. So, I mean, let's just cut to the chase. He can't insist, he can't tell you what to do. You're the National Commissioner of the South African Police Service. There's no one above you and he's not above you.
He's a Minister of Police, he's above me.
Not in the hierarchy of the South African Police Service, General, and you and I both know that. You call the shots in the South African Police Service, not the minister. And if he tries, you should tell him to go to hell. Why didn't you?
Yeah, well, I didn't tell them that. And I take him as Minister of Police. And I told him in a nice way that let's not do this thing. And he kept insisting, no, we do it.
So when you told him in a nice way and he didn't go away, why didn't you tell him in a less nice way?
Yeah.
That's not an answer. General, you're the National Commissioner. You're the head honcho. You're the boss, not him. Why didn't you tell him that? Tell him to mind your own business and go do your own job.
Yes, I'm the National Commissioner, but I'm subject to his direction.
You consider him to be your boss.
Yes, I consider him, yes, to be
your boss.
supervised. Yes.
The National Commissioner of the South African Police Service thinks the minister is his boss. Wow.
General Mkhwanazi told us that you guys can search WhatsApps, including a view once and deleted WhatsApps and all of that. Do you have an equipment like that as subs, or have you outsourced that responsibility to a private company? And if it's a private company, whose company is that? And how was that tender awarded?
Honorable Chair,
Because we don't want to be searched here WhatsApps by Matala. Yeah? You give Matala's tenders there, only to find this the WhatsApp thing is in the wrong hands. So we need to know if it's private, who. But if you've got equipment, that's enough.
thanks, Honorable Chair. The question is quite sensitive to answer this one, but we don't use service providers. But
So meaning it's internal.
I do really. I don't want to confirm that we can do that. Honorable Chair.
No, General Mkhwanazi came and told us. He said it himself. It's not like we're bringing a rumor or anything. He was sitting there. He told us that they search WhatsApps. They take your phone and search WhatsApps, and they've got it. Even if you delete, they will still find a way of using whatever equipment. So it's not a rumor. He came here and told us that. So I wanted you, as a top cop, to confirm if indeed that is correct.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. I'll have to go back and check with my division, crime intelligence.
Now, when they went to Molefe's house to arrest him, they found a leader of the PA, Kenny Kunene, with Molefe, and they claimed there were other people, including a journalist. Are you aware of other people who were found in that house, or any journalist who was found in the house of Molefe when he was getting arrested?
I'm not, I'm aware that there was a journalist, but I don't know who. But I know that they did find Mr. Kunene at that house.
And a journalist. A journalist.
Yeah, the journalist, yes. I don't know who the journalist is, but I know that they did find Mr. Kunene there. Actually, it wasn't the first time. When they went for the second time, they found him there.
When they went for the first time for Molefe, they found Mr. Kunene there, and when they went the second time, they found Mr. Kunene there.
Yeah, the first time he tended the gate, they were inside busy. He came to the gate and they showed him the road, and luckily, whatever he got, he went for the road.
You would have not had access to it because it is classified.
Well, if it's classified, it never reached me, then I will not know what is inside.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not satisfied, but for the sake of progress, let's move on.
Okay, then I hear Honorable Ngola.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just want to bring to the attention of the ad hoc committee that Section 206(1) of the Constitution accords a cabinet member responsible for police a responsibility of policing policy. Section 207(1) of the Constitution accords a responsibility to the National Commissioner the implementation of the policing policy. And the cabinet member responsible police has a responsibility of oversighting the implementation. So it can be logical that the National Commissioner does not account to the Minister of Police. I think what we're confusing, Chair, is the significant difference between an appointing authority and an executive authority.
To stop that point of
Thank you very much, Chair.
and,
We're confusing two things, the two aspects, different. Appointing authority,
point of order.
executive authority. There is no point of order.
Honorable members, let's have our meeting on Wednesday.
It's not
But
confusing.
he is out of order, Chairperson.
I'm not out of order.
We did not invite his explanation.
No, Chair, I don't need to be
We're
invited by
questioning
Mr. Nomva.
witnesses here. Don't
Order.
project yourself as an expert. You are not
Order,
an
Chair.
expert here.
Order,
We
Chair.
did not ask for your opinion. We
Chairperson,
are
order.
questioning the witnesses. He must be
Chairperson.
quiet. He must be
Chairperson,
quiet.
order.
We don't need your opinions here. We're questioning the witnesses.
Order, Chair.
You
Order.
must keep quiet. We did not invite your opinion.
Chairperson,
Who
order.
are you to advise us?
Chairperson,
you-
order.
Who are you to advise us? You are not an expert here.
Chairperson,
We have
on
a
the point
legal
of order.
advisor seated next to me. If we need a legal advice, we will speak to him, not him.
Chairperson, on a point of order. Chair, I rise on a point of order. Because the point of order by Mr. Nomvalo is actually out of order. He has been allowed numerous times to make
If you allow him to patch, you are also going to
even,
patch.
even yesterday.
If you allow him to do what he is doing, we'll do it as
No,
well.
you are not a whip.
And we can do it better than what he does.
No, no, no. Don't make it.
We're not going to be bullied by
You are
Ngola
making
here.
useless
We'll
threats.
never be bullied by Ngola here.
Chair,
He projects himself as an expert. You are not an expert here. We have a legal advisor. We're
Chair,
asking questions
The
from
point of
witnesses,
order.
not from you. Who are you? Who are you?
what is this? Hey, Chair, can I proceed with my point of order?
I want to apologize for your behavior, the two of you, to the people of South Africa, who have been following us from the first day up to this point. And but I can still afford you more time. Yes, I can still give more time and maybe just sink my head below the table. I will rise when we are ready to proceed. And my profuse apologies, General Masemola. It's not how I have expected the members of my committee to conduct themselves. I thought that if we have issues we can discuss in our own meeting when we deal with housekeeping matters, but unfortunately, it had to deteriorate to this level. Is there any one of you who wish to apologize, honorable members?
Chairperson, I'm not going to apologize. I think you failed to play your role as the chairperson of the meeting. We are asking the witness here, Honorable Skosana, based on how he understands what is written on the statement, and he wanted to be satisfied by the responses from the witness. The answers, like we've been doing since we started, are expected from the witness, not for him to interject and tell us about the law and what the law says. We employed a legal advisor here for that purpose, to advise us when there is a need to do so, not to be ambushed with legal advices that we did not invite. So, Chairperson, you failed the meeting. You were supposed to call Honorable Ngola right from the beginning because he was bullying us.
General, with regards to Richards Bay Mineral, General Mkhwanazi told us that when you inquired about the withdrawal of protection for Richards Bay Minerals. You told him that there were questions and/or that you came under pressure from the presidency to provide protection for Richards Bay Minerals. So what I want to know is who in the presidency gave that instruction or applied pressure, and why did you deploy a team from National, according to General Mkhwanazi, to continue protecting Richards Bay Minerals? The reason I ask this also in detail is because the presidency is an office, it's not a person. So who is the individual by name or position that communicated that message?
Thanks, Honorable Chair. The deployment of the Richards Bay, it came both from the then Minister of Police, General Kele, as well as the Minister in the Minister in the
Presidency.
Minister Njaveni. And the team was then deployed there. And the team was not a protection team. It was a team that were policing that area. There has been executives of the mines that were killed in that area. There has been murders, serious crime that happened there. And later, of course, with the help of the province, some of the suspects were arrested, some were killed, even by the team from the province. I know there was a shootout at Palito between one of the suspects and the NIU in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. So it wasn't a protection. Those members were deployed based on crime what was happening there. It happens quite often, Honorable Chair. Even currently as we speak, in Mpumalanga, there is in Mpumalanga and Northwest, there is groupings of mine, call it mine companies that are fighting the same side. It's a new trend that is coming now, especially in Mpumalanga, Northwest, where looks like people are licensed to mine in the same area. So one quite often finds such complaints and you can't fold your hands. You need to respond, and we do our work in that regard.
Thank you, General.